there, in this video we are going to go over our two-step equations review for our test. Alright, so first we have 3x plus 15 is equal to 18. So the first thing we're going to do is either draw the river or draw the stream, whatever you want to call it, down the equal sign so that you split it up so you have the left side and the right side. Then you're going to look at the side where the x is, so that's on the left, that's here. Alright, and then you're going to figure out what the constant is, or the plus or minus. So we have here on this side 3x plus 15. All right, so the plus 15, the one without the variable, that is your constant, and you're going to get rid of that constant by doing the opposite of plus 15, which is minus 15 on both sides. All right, on the left side now we are left with 3x is equal to 18 minus 15, which gets us 3. All right, the next step is we are going to divide each side by 3, and then we get x is equal to 1. All right, let's look at example 2 here. We're going to draw the river or the stream, whatever you want to call it, and then we are going to start with the constant. The constant is a number that's alone or has the plus or minus, right? So in this case, the number that's alone without the variable is 50. All right, negative 5 is attached to the variable of x, so we're not worried about that yet. So we're going to start with negative 50 or minus 50 on both sides, and those cancel out. We're left with negative 5x is equal to negative 35 minus 50. Careful with your integer rules. Negative 35 minus 50. Keep, change, change, or keep, switch, switch. And you get, now it's like an addition problem. So 35 negatives plus 50 negatives will get you 85 negatives. So we have negative 85 here. Next, we're going to divide each side by negative 5, and x will be 17. And again, it's negative divided by negative, so now we also have a positive as our answer. All right, in our next example, we're going to start with the constant. The constant is positive 1. That's the one without the variable. All right, so we're going to start with minus 1 on both sides. Those cancel out. We're left with negative 4x is equal to 16. All right, the next step is we're going to divide both sides by negative 4, and we get x is equal to negative 4. All right, number 4. Draw the river or the stream, whatever you call it. And we are going to look to see where the constant is. That's the one without the variable. This has a variable that has x in it. We're not worried about that. So this is what we are worried about first. So the opposite of minus 1 is plus 1 on both sides. That gets rid of those, and now we are left with x over negative 4 is equal to 1. All right, you can treat this now as a fraction where you have 1 over negative 4. And in order to get rid of the fraction next to the variable, if you can recall, you're supposed to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're multiplying both sides by negative 4 over 1. So multiply both sides by negative 4 over 1. These cancel. We are left with x is equal to negative 4. All right. In our next example, we have 1/5 x. That's with the x, so we're not looking at that yet. And then we have this positive 3. That's the one that we are going to move first because it doesn't have the x. All right, so the opposite of plus 3 is minus 3 on both sides. Then we have 1/5 x is equal to negative 5 minus 3. Be careful. Keep, change, change, or keep, switch, switch. So you have negative 5 plus negative 3, which gets you negative 8. Okay, and now at this step, we are going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. That gets rid of the fraction. And these cancel. We're left with x is equal to negative 40. All right, here is our next example. We're going to draw the river or the stream down the equal sign. We are going to look at the term without the variable. So that's negative 2. We are going to add 2 to both sides so that those cancel out. And we're left with x over 6 is equal to negative 4 plus 2, which is negative 2. Now we are going to put a 1 there, so make it negative 6. We're making it 1/6 x, right? So we insert a 1. Now we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. That'll cancel these guys out. We're left with x is equal to negative 12. All right, number 7, we have here negative x minus 8 is equal to negative 30. So we're going to start with the term without the x, that is the negative 8, and we're going to do the opposite, which is plus 8. So here on the left, we have negative x is equal to negative 30 plus 8, which is negative 22. Insert the 1 here, and now we're going to divide each side by negative 1. And now we have x is equal to positive 22. All right, here is our next example. We're going to draw the river or the stream, and focus really on the left side. There's a set of parentheses here, which means that we need to simplify this by using the distributive property first. All right, so 1/5 times x is 1/5 x. 1/5 of 25 is 5. I think you should know that off the top of your head personally. 1/5 of 25 is 5. But if you don't, do it off to the side. So 1/5 times 25. How do we multiply a fraction times a whole number? We put the whole number over 1, and then you multiply across and simplify. So 1 times 25 is 25. 5 times 1 is 5. And 25 divided by 5 is 5. So if you need to show that work in order to do this step here, where you do 1/5 times 25, then do that. So we have 1/5 x plus 5 is equal to negative 5. All right, now we are going to subtract 5 on both sides because this is the term that doesn't have the variable x. These guys cancel. We're left with 1/5 x is equal to negative 10. All right, now we are going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal because we have a fraction. So these guys cancel. We're left with x is equal to negative 50. All right, here is the next example. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 9 is positive 18, and we are making that equal to negative 28. All right, so we are first going to work with this plus 18. We're going to do the opposite of that, which is minus 18 on both sides. These guys cancel. We're left with negative 2x is equal to negative 28 minus 18. Be careful. Negative 28 minus 18. Keep, change, or keep, switch. And it's really now negative 28 plus negative 18, which gets us negative 46. All right, divide each side by negative 2, and you get x is equal to 23. And it's a positive 23 because it's a negative divided by a negative, which gets you a positive. All right, Mike has $200 in a savings account. He earns $40 a week mowing lawns. If Mike saves all of his earnings, after how many weeks will he have $520 saved? So we are looking for, first start off with let x equal. It says here, after how many weeks will he have $520 saved? So we are going to let x equal the number of weeks because that is what we are looking for. All right, so right now Mike has $200 in his account, and then he's earning $40, which means $40 a week. So which means that he's adding $40 to what he already has, and we're multiplying that by x because it's $40 a week. So it's 200 plus 40x is equal to 520. All right, now we can draw the river or the stream and solve. So subtract 200 on both sides because you'll notice that this is the one without the variable, right? The 40 has the x attached to it, so we're not going to touch that yet. You always want to move the one that doesn't have the variable, the constant, right? We want to move the constant, not the term with the variable. All right, so 200 minus 200, that cancels out. We are left with 40x is equal to 520 minus 200. So 520 minus 200 gets us 320. Then you divide each side by 40, and you get x is equal to 8. So our solution would be 8 weeks. He will need to save for 8 weeks. All right, the next question. 331 students went on a field trip. 6 buses were filled and 7 students traveled in cars. How many students were on each bus? So we're going to say let x equal what it is we're looking for, which is the number of students per bus. All right, we know that 331 students went on the field trip, so that's 331 total. 6 buses were filled. Now here we don't know what was in each bus, how many kids are in each bus, so we're saying 6x. And then we know that 7 students traveled in the cars. All right, so now we can draw the river or the stream and solve. So we're not going to touch this because that has the x next to it. We are going to move this guy, the plus 7, over. So we're going to minus 7 on both sides, and we have 6x is equal to 331 minus 7, which is 324. Next, we are going to divide each side by 6 so that we get the value of 1x, which is 54. All right, so how many students were on each bus? 54 students per bus. You bought a magazine for $5 and 4 erasers. You spent a total of $25. How much did each eraser cost? So here it is what we are looking for. Let x equal the cost per eraser. All right, so you bought a magazine for $5 and you bought 4 erasers, spending a total of $25. Now, since x is the cost per eraser, are we going to attach that to the 5 or the 4? Which one of those numbers pertains to erasers? Well, it's the 4 erasers. So we are going to insert the x next to the 4 and start solving. So we are going to draw the river down, or the stream, whatever you want to call it, minus 5 on both sides, and we get 4x is equal to 20. Then we're going to divide each side by 4, and we get x is equal to 5. So our solution is $5 per eraser. All right, next, number 13. A family of 4 is going on a trip. They each buy a plane ticket that costs X dollars each and insurance for each of them that costs $15 each. If they spend a total of $460, how much does each plane ticket cost? All right, so we are looking for the cost of each plane ticket. So we're going to say let x equal the cost per plane ticket. They each bought a plane ticket, so we don't know how much it costs. That costs X dollars. And insurance that costs $15. All right, there's a family of 4, so we're going to multiply this by 4 because this is what it is for one person. But for 4 people, we multiply it by 4. All right, so again, X is ticket, right? One ticket. 15 is insurance. So each person needs to buy a ticket and insurance. And we're multiplying that by the 4 people. All right, and that'll get us our total of $460, right? They spent a total of $460. So this would be the total. All right, so that's where everything kind of came from. And now let's start solving. All right, so we're going to start with the distributive property. So 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 15 gets us 60. We're making that equal to 460. All right, minus 60 on both sides. Those guys cancel. We're left with 4x is equal to 400. Divide each side by 4, and you have x is equal to 100. So the solution is $100 per plane ticket. All right, moving on. The area of the rectangle below is 30 inches. Write an equation and solve for the value of x. All right, so you should know by now that the area is equal to length times width. All right, so we've got length of 3 and width of x plus 4, and we know that our area is 30 inches. So I'm going to plug in a to be 30, 3 to be the length, and x plus 4 to be the width. So we have 3 times x plus 4. Now, I know you're not used to seeing the distributive property with the raised dot, so you can put it there or you don't have to put it there. Either way, you still need to do the distributive property to get rid of this whole x plus 4 inside of the parentheses. All right, so we have 3 times x, which is 3x, 3 times 4, which is 12, and then we're going to drop down the 30. All right, now we are going to minus 12 on both sides. These cancel. We are left with 3x is equal to 30 minus 12, which gets us 18. Next, we are going to divide each side by 3, and we get x is equal to 6. All right. Number 15, Salvatore purchased a computer for $650. He paid $105 initially and will pay $20 per month until the computer is paid off. The equation 105 plus 20x equals 650 can be used to find out how many months he will make payments. Which series of steps can be used to solve the equation? All right, so we are given the equation 105, right, I'm reading here. 105 plus 20x is equal to 650. And we are saying let x equal the number of months he'll need to make the payments. All right, so I would just go ahead and start solving this and then see what steps work with what I'm doing. So subtract 105 on both sides. This is the constant, doesn't have the x, right? Remember, this here has the x, so we're not going to touch that yet. You always want to move the one that doesn't have the x first. All right, so which one of these starts off with subtracting 105? Actually, it's right here, C. C is the only one that starts with subtracting 105. All right, 20x is equal to 650 minus 105. So 650 minus 105 gets us 545. Then we divide each side by 20, and then we have x is equal to 27.25. So here we subtracted 105, and then here we divided by 20. And that actually looks a lot like C, where it says subtract 105, divide by 20. All right, moving on. Toshiro and Evelina are solving the equation 7 minus 2x equals negative 51. Analyze their work below and determine if either of them are correct. So let's see here. I think the easiest way to do this, any of these kinds of problems, are to solve it correctly on your own first and then see what you're supposed to do. So here's our equation. 7 minus 2x is equal to, let me make that clearer here. 7 minus 2x equals negative 51. All right, so when you draw the river or the stream, whatever you want to call it, we want to pay attention to the left side where the x is and see which term does not have the x. So 7 doesn't have the x, right? So we're going to start with that, 7. The opposite of 7 is minus 7. That'll get rid of the 7s. Then we have here negative 2x is equal to negative 51 minus 7. Be careful here, right? Because you have a negative minus a positive. So we do keep, switch, switch, or keep, change, change. And you get negative 58. Okay, and now we're going to divide each side by negative 2. And we get x is equal to 29. All right, well, we got positive 29, and guess what? Neither of them got positive 29. But if we look at Evelina's work, right, Evelina subtracted 7 on both sides, or added negative 7 if you wanted to look at it that way. So she was correct here. And then she divided by negative 2, which is what we did here. So that was correct. Where she went wrong is she actually, when she divided negative 58 divided by negative 2, she got a negative number. And negative divided by negative is positive. So she's not right because a negative divided by a negative gets you a positive. So Evelina is incorrect because when she divided negative 58 divided by negative 2, she should have gotten positive 29, not negative 29. All right, now let's take a look at Toshiro's work here. So he messed up right off the jump because he added 7 to both sides, when really you were supposed to subtract 7. So we're going to say Toshiro is incorrect because he started off by adding 7 when he should have subtracted 7 on both sides. All right, so that is it. Thank you for watching.